Hey guys, what's up? When I say about those four easy steps, I'm gonna give you one positional, I'm gonna give you two computer, and I'm gonna give you one very practical type of refutation. So let's immediately get straight to the point, and hopefully you're gonna enjoy. Stafford Gambit begins after e4, a5, knight f3, knight f6, knight e5, and knight c6. Let me begin with step number one. One of my strongest students ever, a famous chess bra, Eric Hansen, grandmaster. You all know him, 2630 FIDE, 3000 on all these sites. Played recently a game against Van Forest, and Eric Hansen played d4. So this is a positional approach. Eric was always an e4 player with positional aspirations. So with d4, he doesn't want to accept the Stafford Gambit, and he doesn't go into the Stafford Gambit accepted. So the main line goes with knight e4, but if they capture an e5, you play d takes, and after knight e4, you gotta make a specialty, queen e2. This reminds me on the bishop's opening, the course that I just released on the Chessable. And the thing is, they can't play and they can't maintain control of this knight in the center, neither with f5 nor d5. So basically, they gotta go with knight c5 and you go with knight c3. Afterwards, you wanna play bishop d2 or bishop a3 along castle and harass this knight on e6 with f4 and f5. In that game of Eric Hansen against Van Forest, black captured on e4, and this reminds me on all those boring positions of Petrov defense. But you'll see what's the point. He actually plays something very positional. Plays bishop d3. The guy plays d5, very logical, and after castles, he needs to do something with this knight on e5. I found lots of games where black took on e5 and played bishop c5. Looks tempting and would be ideal for black if they have time for castles. But Hansen captured, played queen d8, and played knight c3. This is what I like about Eric Hansen. Sometimes I can't believe that I was his coach because he's playing so positional and I'm such a wild chess player. And here after bishop f5, he played a beautiful bishop e3, swapping off these pieces, depriving black of the bishop pair. And after this rook on f1 threatened the pawn on f5. So after bishop g6 played rook e1. With an open d and f files, better knight than bishop, weak king, and two kind of misplaced and pretty inactive rooks, Hansen was already winning after 13 moves. Hope you enjoyed in step number one. After knight takes c6, white just decides to accept the gambit, d takes c6, and let's get started. Step number two, e5. This is not so popular. For some reason, he didn't gain that big popularity, but I don't know why. For example, if knight g4, you just play a simple move d4, you want to complete your development with bishop e2 and short castle, as well as knight c3. And take a look at this one. You're up a pawn, you have a strong center. They only have like those open to bishops, knight in the middle of nowhere. We can even chase it away with h3. But yes, we do want to play like bishop e2 rather than anything else. And this just looks great, almost completely winning for white. If knight e4, that's a tricky line. That's a tricky line because you probably remember that you can't play f3 because of queen h4. And then in the case of d3, they will just play that bishop c5, d takes c4, bishop f2 trick. But you shouldn't go for that trick. You just play d4. And when they play queen h4, once again, they go for trick. If you play g3, they want to take and they want to give you check and win, like in the Patzer's opening. But you play queen f3, and that's the beauty of this line. Queen f3, you now threaten bishop c4, c3 to solidify pawn structure, or even g3 to keep on exchanging pieces. After f6, what Eric Rosen played in one of his blitz games and even beat Sarana from Russia, Sarana did not play the best move here. He was supposed to make a specialty and bring this queen back to e2. What's so special about it? White threatens g3 to move this queen away from h4, from defending the knight on e4, and no queen g4 is a possibility here because of f3 afterward. So they would have to play f5, you kick it away, you play c3, solidifying your pawn structure, your upper pawn, strong center. They absolutely have no compensation, and they even have problems with the knight on e4. After d takes c3, d3, bishop c5, bishop e2, h5. That's the point of this Stafford Gambit, and time for step number 3. So I just want to show you that h3 line. If you play h3, you just prevent knight g4. And they did play h5 to support the knight g4 idea. So you basically prevent that. And when they play queen d4, threatening on f2, you play a rook f1. Engines are very happy and excited about these castles, but after knight g4, h takes, I don't think this is particularly good, because this queen e5 and queen h5 ideas, also queen e5 if g3, queen g3, is something extremely dangerous. So that's why I believe rook f1 is way more practical. You now threaten bishop e3, or c3 followed by d4. And when they play bishop b6, to avoid all these possibilities, you play a4. This a4 is an important move in, like with the idea of chasing this bishop with a5. And not just that, you also, all of a sudden, open up this possibility, knight a3, knight c4. So when they play a5, which is practically the only move, you play c3. They have to go with queen d6. And now I wish I could go with e4, but e4 pawn is hanging. So we go with knight a3. An idea of knight a3 is to place the knight on c4 to win the bishop pair and to simply carry on exchanging pieces, because we're up a pawn, right? Bishop e6, and you play the last move, queen c2. You overprotect pawn on e4. You want to push your pawn up to d4. They're completely lost. Completely lost game. You can take a look at it. I absolutely don't see a compensation for black. And time for h5 and step number 4. You play c3. Previously, we saw what if h3 to stop knight g4, but you can even play c3, fighting against the bishop of c5 with the d4. When they play knight g4, d4, Eric Rosen found a very nice line with the queen h4 threatening this check on f2. And after g3, played queen f6 threatening on f2 once again. And after f3, I remember when in one of his videos, he played this very interesting, actually attractive line, and he even made some very nice wins with it. Although after f takes, g takes, I'm not sure if his opponent played bishop e3, but this is what you have to do. And when he played this g2, rook g1, rook goes to h3. All you have to remember and all you have to do is queen to d3. Believe it or not, according to the engine, you're already +5. Rook g2 on horizon, d takes e5, knight e2 followed by a long castle, and completely winning game for white. I believe you liked this short video, and I gave you 4 simple steps against the Stafford Gambit. I'm absolutely sure you're going to have lots of success with it, and I can't wait to hear your comments, feedbacks, and to thank me on all these great analysis. Thanks. Bye-bye.